Hello, 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 beautiful souls. Welcome back to Get Your Shit Together with Yana Kasperzak podcast. And today you're tuning into another incredible episode of our special series, Your Journey of Becoming, where real women share their messy, their unfiltered middle part of becoming who they're meant to be and not the highlight reel that you see. They're talking about the real thing because your dream life does not start when everything is perfect. It actually starts when you have had enough playing small and you decide once and for all to go all in for it, where you go from no more surviving and you finally learn how to thrive. So grab your coffee and let's dive in because today I am live with Terrie Christine, who is an internationally acclaimed intuitive energy healer with over 20 years of experience. She featured on Bravo, The Real Housewives of Potomac, because you did
No,
mention, right,
it's
like
Potomac. Yes, it's
Potomac.
Potomac. And that's okay. Many people, yes, Potomac. Many people do mispronounce that, but that's
Oh,
okay.
perfect. And then you owns Love and Marriage, DC, Good Morning Washington, and Fox affiliates in Las Vegas, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. Terry is recognized voice in a self-empowered space. She is the author of The Secret of You, the Secret Power of You, which has been endorsed by Don Miguel Ruiz. Is that how you say the name?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. And New York Times bestselling author of The Four Agreements. With her finely tuned intuitive abilities, she quickly identifies and clears those energetic blocks rooted in fear, trauma, and limiting beliefs, often within seconds. Terry guides clients from around the globe to clarity, to peace, and lasting emotional freedom, helping them reclaim their power and heal at the deepest level.
Mm.
And most importantly, she's here to share her stories of the journey of becoming. So, Terry, the first question I love to ask is because this is Get Your Shit Together podcast where we do talk about, you know, we go deep. We talk about the things that
Yeah,
actually matter, the things that perhaps one day we
yeah,
swept under the carpet and didn't want to deal with, and one
yeah,
day we had no choice but to because we all know you put anything under the carpet, eventually it'll attract things and things will grow.
yeah.
So for you, when did you realize the life that you were living wasn't actually yours and you
Mm,
begun to get your shit together?
mm, mm. I am so honored, first off, to be here because your listeners are going to be living this story as well. Because,
Yes.
as women, we're caregivers, we're, you know, expanded, we're nurturing, and sometimes we do more than receive. And I was in that position, and
Hmm.
I was with my partner, the father of my children. We were together 14 years. But over those years, I found that my soul was being chiseled away,
Mm.
that I was pouring into this individual so much so that the more I poured in, the more he took instead of gave. And I gave unconditionally, but when you're in a relationship, a partnership of equals, you give and receive and you give and you receive. It's the ebb and flow of life,
Yeah.
right? And because of his own issues and childhood stuff, that he constantly never felt safe, even though our children, our two girls, and I did everything to prove, to share, to show that this is a safe environment. And over time, he just kept taking to the point where he controlled everything. And then I was an empty vessel. And so I was literally getting up, going to work, coming home, taking care of the kids. He'd come home from the gym. What's on the table? It was a 1940s environment, even though it was not 1940s, because that's what he wanted and that's what he created and that's what we molded into, the girls and I.
Yeah.
And then over time, it's like you're standing next to nobody, if you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and you're lonely when someone's in the house. And, I never believed in going outside of my relationship. I always believed that love will conquer all. But when you're constantly pouring into someone who, and I don't want to use the word broken, but who is really restricting his own self, then you're setting yourself up for failure when you're constantly hoping and praying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it got to the end where, I mean, and this was real, my friends, that I really didn't want to be in my physical body anymore because I kept saying to myself after 14 years, if this is really what love is, I don't want any of it. Like, I don't even want life itself, even though I gave birth to two beautiful, amazing girls. And I found myself getting out at the end of this 14-year relationship at the end and getting out of bed and going into the bathroom and begging God with every ounce of my soul to just take me away. That I have completed everything. There's no reason for me to be in this space of being, and that I'm ready. Just stop my heart. And within that, because I was so deep in despair, I mean, I was literally crying every night for a year to the point where my daughter was coming and asking me, "Don't cry, mommy, anymore." And that's soul wrenching when your own children are nurturing you and you can't even nurture yourself. And so I found myself on the bathroom floor and I was just begging God to take me. And it was a form of lucid dreaming that began that time right there on that bathroom floor where I was fully awake, but then lifting out of the body, expanding. My eyes were closed. And as the more I had my eyes closed and you blink with your eyes closed, the more that this form of the universe started happening. Everything was dark, but there were stars all around me. I thought I could touch them. I had this full sense of expansion, this misty dampness in my mouth and around me. And I knew perfectly well, just absolutely knew that I made it to where I wanted to be, free, free from any pain, emotionally pain, any torture that I felt I was receiving because I wasn't receiving the love. Why aren't you just giving it to
Yeah.
me? And then within that space, it felt like I was there for hours when I know it was like milliseconds. And I heard three simple words: love will come. It was as if I was in the middle of a speaker. It was all around me, very masculine. And I knew when you know you got something, I knew that I would get it. And within that, hearing those three words, I whooshed back into my body and I'm like, what in the world? I was zero spirituality. I didn't even know what yoga was. What's Pilates and yoga? Literally, I had no idea. I was 100% corporate, making the company I worked for millions of dollars, taking care of the kids. He would read the newspaper, take care of the house, the cat, cook, clean, and he just went to bed. And so when I whooshed back into my body, I stood up and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? And I went back to bed. And when I woke up, everything changed. I knew that what I truly wanted, I was going to have. And I went to the bookstore. Now, I told you about my story. I literally said I did everything. I didn't have time to read books, but I went to the bookstore.
Mm-hmm.
I started pulling off. I went self-help. What can I do to get this that I know I'm going to get? So I
Mm-hmm.
pulled Esther Hicks, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, people I never even knew was present in the world. And I started reading two books at a time, skimming like I became this speed reader. No joke, people. This happened. I'm like, and it was all making sense to me. I'm like, what? Wait, hold on. This is what you do. This is how life is. This is, and my life truly changed. And I have to say, within 3 months, I did leave that relationship, but I gained the strength to say everything is going to be okay because I didn't want to leave the love of what I wanted and I couldn't get, and I still was hanging on to what, right? But
Yeah.
when I left, I went on the spiritual journey. I learned. Now, I call Reiki like a lily pad. Every step that you take in the energy work or spirituality is like a lily pad. You stay there, you sun, you catch some frogs, and then you jump to the next lily pad. And it's very similar. So I started with Reiki. It was an open door to understanding the movement of energy and how you can maneuver it. And I understood crystals and essential oils and things I understand. I may not use crystals and essential oils because I feel like I get hits, I hear things. I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient. So I can hear movies in my head, I can hear conversations, and the clairsentient is just knowing. So when I get all these things, I may be working with a client and I may see an amethyst crystal, or I may hear orange, meaning orange essential oil, and I know what each one represents. And it's
Mhm.
just a simple tool of success for the client that they may need to use or have or understand
Mhm.
to incorporate that into their own healing journey. And so that was the catalyst of what pushed me into this amazing life this is my career. This is what I do for a living. And I literally left corporate shortly after that. And I say short because it was about a year because I struggled with confrontation.
Well,
So
it
I
makes
stayed in that
sense. After that
relationship.
relationship, yeah, of course.
Yes,
There was no confrontation
yes,
there.
yes. So leaving corporate, it took me a year, but listen up, my friends. That was my way of also facing confrontation as well. So when I
Mhm.
decided to leave corporate and do this as a full-time career, I set the date a year in advance. I put it in my calendar, and every month I would write my resignation letter every month until I got down to the last month. Then I did it every week until I got down to the last week. Then I wrote it every day until the day of. Now, this is so crazy how it happened. I wrote the resignation letter. I stood up and walked down the hall, went into the other building where my manager was. He was on the phone when I kind of went around. He's standing there. I waved a little. I had a piece of paper in my hand, which was my resignation letter. There was a long distance between his desk and the front door I was standing in. I literally pushed my hand forward, let the paper go, and it just glided down and went back and forth onto his desk. It was so perfect. God was just beaming down how that happened. And my mouth was like, because it was shocking me. And when he looked down as it glided right in front of him, he read the first line, I resign, and his mouth, and I just waved. His mouth was wide open. I waved and I walked away. And as he got off the phone, we had that conversation. However, I knew that that was it, that I'd practiced it for a year. I saw it, I visualized it. And then throughout that time, they were chiseling away my
Mhm.
responsibilities. And so at first, halfway 6 months into it, I was kind of angry. But then I realized God was doing that to prepare me that it would be easy to walk away from looking like there's nothing left of your job. And that's exactly how it happened. When you set your intent and you live in your purpose of your heart of what you truly want, and then know that if you have some weaknesses, you can turn them into strengths through your path. And that's why I gave myself a year so that I wouldn't back up and I wouldn't, avoid the confrontation of, what do you mean you're leaving us? You're making us millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And then I had to do this for me. And so I was able to turn that weakness into strength and then be able to stand up and say, no, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
pretty
I
cool.
love that. I see myself on your journey in so many different places, and especially with the last part, since we're talking about leaving that job. I'm a good girl as well. Like this is why we connect, because as a good girl, you take care of those you love and you don't
Yeah,
complain much, but yet you listen and you take in their complaints as ways of how you can improve how you show up
yeah,
for them, right?
yeah,
And when
yeah,
you're leaving a job, it's hard to do that because there's a lot of things it brings up for us. And a lot of it is all programming that we receive from our parents as well and their parents that's been given to us.
Yeah.
This is how
Yeah.
it's supposed to be. What was the phrase? A starving musician or starving artist? Which means that if you follow your
Oh,
curiosities, you follow your dreams, you're essentially trying to live as a starving artist, where all artists are starving. But if you really look, all the artists are actually the ones that are not starving. They're very well fed and they feed others as well. So who's to really say? But leaving a job and saying, I'm meant for more,
yeah.
whether you know what it is
Yeah.
or not yet, that's a
Yeah.
bold ass move. When I did that,
Yeah.
I had no spiritual awakenings at that point yet.
Mm.
But that was something that I was working at Canada Post and it was my dream job because the previous job before that, I I wanted to quit, but I didn't have the balls to do it. So the universe said, okay, I'll find a way to have you let go and fired that is in some ways going to make you look good. And how I got fired was because I was trying to help a coworker out and I didn't even know what panic attacks
Oh.
were, didn't know what anxiety was. So she was going to a
Oh.
doctor in the morning and asked to leave some combinations open. And
Oh.
right, so mine weren't. And this is where I'm like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. And that's
Oh.
why I can't be upset. But at the same time, as a good girl, I'm there to help everyone I possibly can. And in the end,
Yeah.
it hurt me. And what
Yeah.
actually hurt in the end is there was another woman who hated her, the lady that I helped
Mm.
out. And because she
Yeah.
hated her, she tried to get her in trouble. And in the end, I was the one who got in trouble. And
Oh.
she only got a slap on the
Yeah.
wrist.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
meanwhile, anyways, there's always reasons
Yeah.
behind it as well, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a new
Yeah.
manager
Yeah.
who was in training, and I was helping and training him with being the only person on cash, not having a lunch for like months because they didn't have people coming in to help out.
Oh.
So and then when I went to Canada Post, I was so happy. I'm like, this is my dream job. You get to drive, you get to see things, you get to places. And it was nothing what I visualized. It's like, those dreams that we have, those fantasies that we create will be, I'll be happy when. One of
Yes.
those. It's like, oh,
Yes.
this is my
Yes.
dream job.
Yes.
And then you have that dream job and you
Yes.
realize, I'm like, oh my God, this is a freaking nightmare
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
in the end, my last day, like, I kid you not, my hands were like this and I
Oh.
couldn't even like stretch my fingers because I was just so stressed because I knew like I was gonna finish my shift and let them know I'm leaving. And
Yeah.
confrontation, not my thing
Yeah.
either. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest
Yeah.
confrontation. And also at the same time saying it's like I'm meant for more. I don't know what it is, but this is not it. And
Yeah.
also at the same time, like you were a valuable employee.
Yeah.
I was a valuable employee, and they know when they have someone who is good.
Yeah.
All I
Yeah.
had was compliments from people, and I only worked there for 7 months, and they had people calling, complimenting me.
Wow.
Even the way I would put things in the mailbox. I hate it when people just shove things in. Nice and
Yeah.
neat and organized. There's no need for violence.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of paper. It didn't
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
anything to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there was one other question that I wanted to ask as you were sharing your journey a bit, because
Yeah.
I would love to know, because you were reading all these books, you were consuming things really quickly and fast, as you were saying,
Yeah.
and that allowed you and brought you to a place where you were able to leave your relationship. And I'm asking because I know there's a lot of women who I know or work with who have challenges in their relationships. And this is the area where they struggle the most. All of us, like if
Yeah.
we're not happy at home, if there's no love at home, like you feel like the world is against you. But when you're safe and comfortable at home, you can take on the world. And
Hmm.
that's the part that everybody needs to get to and understand for themselves. So for you, having consumed all of that knowledge, all that wisdom, information, and having that years of experience that you went through, what was that thing that, because usually there's like something replaying in the mind that allows you to get to a place where 3 months later, you end that relationship. So what was
Hmm.
that thing that was in your mind, um, drumming its drum for you to get
Hmm.
to that place?
For me,
Hmm.
when I shared the story that I didn't want to be here anymore, what got to me was when God said, higher self source light, whatever someone wants to call what I heard. I
Yeah,
label it God because then we all go up, right?
yeah,
When God spoke and said, love will come. And within those 3 months, while I was reading the books and understanding the parts of how I work, the childhood limiting beliefs and what I was seeing things and how I was setting myself up for failure constantly, and realizing that I was with a man I didn't even know after 14 years,
mm,
that I said to myself that I'm not happy here. So if I continue to stay and I know what that looks like, because I was almost there, that I'd rather live than die for someone else.
mm. I love that. When you finally chose to live for yourself
Yeah,
and not
yeah,
for anybody else.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is not selfish at
Oh,
all. That is self-love.
yeah.
Because what I realized, I would have left my children without a mother, and my friends and my family and my legacy of being able to, I mean, I saw my daughter get married, and
Yeah.
my youngest thrive through her career and stuff, and being able to see all that and having the opportunity to reflect on where I was,
Hmm.
what I was doing to myself. I was trying to squeeze love out of a rock, technically. That's
Yeah.
truly what I was trying to do. And I had a woman who did past life regression on me, and she said something that she said, Terrie, you just have to understand that he's not capable. And that just
Yeah.
I couldn't understand until it came from someone else. And I'm like, I have to acknowledge, to accept that this is the truth. It's
Yeah.
coming from someone else.
It's like radical
And
acceptance. That's what it is. It's
yes,
radically accepting. I love that concept, and that's what I hear you talking about.
yes. And once I realized that he clearly is not ready, willing, and able to change within himself, not for me, but
Mhm.
for himself and his kids and me, and as the second and third parties, but for himself, that I can't be the one to make him do that. And it was literally killing me. And so
Yeah.
once I acknowledged that he really can't love me, then I was like, okay, then I have to accept that I can love myself enough to thrive. And
Yeah.
that's really what the whole gist of where I was and when I saw and heard God and on all those things. And it's different for everyone.
Hmm.
I didn't have to stay there 14 years, but I was resistant and we had children, and I as a child, now everyone doesn't have the same story, but my pieces of the puzzle helped me understand the purpose of staying that long is because my dad wasn't around a lot. He was a long haul truck driver. And
Mm.
when he came home, it was like a
Christmas.
dog receiving a bone, like,
Yeah.
oh, you know? And I was so excited as my sister and brother and he was home, and he'd stay home for a weekend and then leave again for 2 months. And so I was trained that you get a tidbit of love till the
Yeah.
next time, a
Yep.
tidbit of love until the next time. And that's actually what my partner was doing. He'd
Mm.
give me a tidbit of love. And then on most of the other times, I was the dog in the corner. And so once I started realizing that what was put upon me as a child, and then what I was normalized into receiving, that I knew nothing else but that. And that's
Yep.
why I manifested it. I
Yep.
had to be able to put a stop to it once and for all, or I was going to put a stop to myself.
Yeah.
So there is where and why I ended up catapulting and gaining the strength. Literally, I had to trust beyond. I had to trust the unknown. I had
Yeah,
to trust it so much. And the fear, look, my friends, I woke up shaking,
of course.
shaking, but the shaking was like pushing me forward. I'm
Yeah,
like, I'll get through this. It's like when you're starting the job the first day, everyone has a little sense of shaking.
of
Like,
course.
okay, what do I do? Where do I
It's like a
go? And
roller
then, okay,
coaster, right?
that's right. Someone's going to help me. And over time, it feels easier. And,
You'll
you
figure it
know,
out. Yeah.
that's right. And so when I did leave him, I was shaking. I was crying all the time, but I'm like, I'll get through this. I'll get through this today. I'll get through this today. I'll get through this. And I
Yeah.
literally lived it like that every day. Waking up, I'll get through this. And
Yeah.
here I am. Yeah.
And you got through it. And
Yes.
and I agree.
Thriving,
It's
thriving.
everyone's journey is different, and yet there are many similarities. And um as you're talking about like choosing yourself and leaving a relationship, that's definitely not selfish. But
Mm-mm.
choosing to leave those that are dependent on us behind, even just not depend, but love us, choosing to leave them behind, that is, in my personal experience, selfish. For me, I had a moment like that where it's not just one thing that quote unquote breaks us. It's an accumulation of things, and it's not really breaking, it's more cracking us open. So now we are in many ways now forced to heal ourselves and connect with this spirit that we
Yeah.
are. And for me, my moment is, and this is where my mind blocked it out for a long time from me, actually. Because my moment, I remember sitting in the stairs and crying, but I remembered what the actual moment was prior to that. And I think it was actually even the same day where I stood in front of our medicine cabinet. And in order for me to get to the medicine, I'm 5'1". I'm a little
Uh-huh.
person, and the
Me too.
medicine cabinet is like at 7 feet tall at the very top. So I
Yeah.
needed a chair. And as I stood in front of that cabinet, whereas now I can laugh and I can kind of giggle about it because it's been 10 years at this point ish, give or take. I don't remember the exact day, but I remember standing in front of the cabinet, and the plan was to take all the medicines in there. And there was
Oh,
like all the different everything. At that point, I trusted the pharmaceuticals, okay? That's
yeah.
I'll say it that way. So there was a lot of different things,
Yeah.
and that was my plan. And I stood in front of the cabinet and I couldn't open it
Mm.
because I was responsible for also going and picking up our youngest and the oldest, who at that time he must have been like 4 or 5 years old. And our daughter is 3.5 years older than him. So, and at the same time leaving them. And that's when I realized like that would be so selfish of me. But at the same time, it was coming from a place of I'm the burden. I'm the one that's making life difficult for everyone. Life would be
Mm.
easy for everyone if I wasn't there, right?
Mm.
That's the
Mm.
mindset that I
Mm.
had. And I
Mm.
like to ask of like, what was that moment for you that helped you to see and accept things as they are in some ways? And it's like, okay, if things are this way, then what? And as you're talking about, we're talking about like radical acceptance. I
Yeah.
realize I feel like here's how I understand radical acceptance is, you go to those for me the favorite stores like Winners or Home Sense. I don't know,
Yes.
I think it's like Marshalls for you
Yes.
guys.
Yes. We have it too. Yeah.
All right, so those stores, when you go there, there's a clearance section and they'll say as is on it. Right, so you take it
Yeah.
as is. Some things you can fix, but it'll never be fully fixed. So when it comes to people that we choose to marry, be friends with, family as well, even though we're born into it, does not mean we have to stick with it. We
Yeah.
can choose our family. But really what we're doing is we're choosing those people as is. And
Yeah.
if you can't accept them as is, some stores take exchanges, return, right? Which means somebody else will
Yeah.
want that as is product because they will love that person as they are. But for us,
Yeah.
we're not the right fit. And it's time to either accept them as they are. Can you live with them like this for the rest of your life or not? And I believe all of us come to that realization in every relationship. I had one in my marriage as well. And when it comes to a point where it's like, okay, if I am, yes. And if not, then this is the other option. And we work through our things. And this is where if the other person is willing and open to work on themselves, yes, we're working on our relationship, but you work on yourself. That's the relationship. Most, we were talking about this earlier. It's like most people are like, no, 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 no.
Yes.
Not the problem. You're the problem. You do this, you do that, and it makes me upset. But it's like, wait a minute. When you point a finger at a person, you have three more pointing at you for a reason. So you take three separate looks at yourself to see what's wrong with you. Because if you're feeling something inside, the other person is not aware that you have something in there that's twisting and turning, and you can't blame
Hmm.
them for what's wrong with you, of how you feel. So
Yeah.
radical acceptance of yourself, of other people, and figuring out how you would want to go forward or not. So for you, my next question is I love to talk about the whole concept of death and rebirth because this is something that bathroom floor, that was your death and rebirth. And then after that, there was many
Yeah.
times, even before that, there was many deaths and rebirths that you went through where there's a certain version of you that had to die so that this version of you gets to finally live. So what would you
Yeah.
say that version of you that sends out the most right now that had to die so the next version of you could finally live and be here?
Putting so much on others to expect them to fill my voids.
Mm, tell me more. I love this. I can relate too.
So sharing, my childhood with my dad, coming and going and all of that,
Hmm.
of feeling like there's a constant void in the house of masculine energy.
Yeah.
And then having a mom who worked. So then we became, and I'm going to show my age a little bit, but latchkey kids, where you have the key around your neck and you go
Oh,
home on
okay.
your own. They're called latchkey kids. So, we'd have the house key on our neck to walk home, to open the door, to let our own selves in. And then we're required to do our homework, our
Yeah.
chores.
I was
And
raised that way
I was the one who had to start the dinner. So
too.
when my mom came home, that like sort of like what my ex-partner did, like dinner was on the table. And so once I realized that I was putting so much pressure on him to fill this love that I never received.
Mm,
And it was a push-pull.
yeah.
He didn't feel safe with love because of his own upbringing. He was one of 8 children. So he didn't really
Yeah.
know what love, healthy love looked like.
Especially if
And
he's lower down the line, right?
that's right. And so here I am pouring healthy love into him, doing everything I can to show that you can just love me, and we'll live happily ever after. And it never came. And
Yeah.
so those eye-opening moments, there there can be one thing that catapults you, but many things, as I call it, putting your pieces of your puzzle together
Mhm.
to help you move into letting go of the limiting beliefs that were placed upon you from childhood. I shared some of my stories so you can understand those. You know, uh, think about it. Dad not around. single mom, technically, quote
Yes.
unquote, and a lot of lack, ate a lot of pancakes for dinner, electricity being cut off quite a bit,
Yeah.
clothes not fitting properly, and living in that space of lack. And now
Yeah.
here I am, 20, 30-year old, and knowing I wanted more of what I want versus what I had.
Yeah.
And then seeing the trajectory of struggle, that I always had two jobs. And because I wanted more, and I figured you got to be a beast and work your hardest, and you got to work really
Yep.
hard in order to get
Another
ahead.
program that we
Yeah,
received, the masculine program
exactly.
instead of the feminine
Ex
one.
exactly. And then also being shown by my grandparents that you have to have money
Yeah.
in the bank in order to buy the things you want. It's not credit cards because, that uh, generation, excuse me, I was looking for the word, that generation didn't have credit cards,
Yeah.
and even with my mom, it started to kind of trickle in. And then my generation had the credit cards, and now it's so different now. But
Yeah. Now
so we
kids
had
even
to have
have
them.
credit cards for playing games and like
Exactly.
those gaming games where they had coins before. Now it's credit
Yeah,
cards.
exactly.
Yeah.
So then I had to make sure that the money was in the bank to buy a washer and dryer and a used car and a used this and a used that. So finally, I just decided I don't want used anymore. I don't want to live like this
That's
anymore. I don't
right.
want to struggle anymore.
Yeah.
I'm done with this. And then it started shifting in my early 20s about the struggle with money and used stuff and having, now I didn't live outside of my means, so please don't interpret that. But I decided that in order for me to now step forward into the things that my soul was calling for, I wanted a new car, so I didn't have to worry about it falling apart. I wanted a new washer and dryer and things like that. And so when I made my first purchase with my first vehicle, I was 24. I was 24 and a brand new BMW. Girl, I went all out. BMW convertible. I went all out.
Nice.
Put the deposit down, could make the payments. I went all out. And now this story is very compelling. It can be very sad, but it's also another thing that it's not just my mom and dad that were putting things upon me. My dad's parents, so my paternal grandparents, where I saw every Saturday, and my granddad was like a dad to me. He would ask me, "How's it going?" He would cuddle me, he would hold me. He never said, "I love you," but through all his actions, I felt that love.
Hmm.
And one day when I went over to visit my grandparents at 24 and show them my car, I was so excited. I parked it on the side of the house. And I went in, and the front door was almost like a side door. And so it was time for me to leave. My granddad said, "I'll walk you to your car." Okay, granddad. We're holding hands and we're walking. And he says, "Where's your car?" I said, "Right here." "I don't see it." And it was parked under a tree on the side of the house. I said, "Right here, Grandpa. This BMW is my car." And
Hmm.
I remember he looked at me right in the eye and he said, "Who do you think you are? You're not, you're acting like you're above us." Devastated.
Yeah.
Devastated. I feel like my soul left my body right then and there because he was like my dad. My
Yeah.
my dad I didn't have, right? It took a long time to get over that. But
Hmm.
when I got in the car and I was crying my heart out, I said to myself, I'm not going to let anyone, no matter what their title is, hold me down. I'm not going to let anyone do that. And so I had to separate myself a little bit from him for a while because that comment for most could have taken you out and then let you let go of your dreams and the things that you say you
Yeah.
want in your life because of quote unquote family. And I get that comment a lot. a lot
Yeah.
from my clients that their families, especially the mom and dad members, are holding the child down from being able to move forward into the things they say that makes their heart sing. And
Yeah.
even as simple as a car was was a form of accomplishment for me, and so big that nobody in the family member or family except for me as that member was able to accomplish that. And I was so proud of myself, and I just wanted someone to be part of that
Yeah.
accomplishment and lift me, and instead I got pushed down.
Yeah.
So that in itself, everyone listening, is don't allow others, no matter who they are, to push down what your heart is calling for. That car was my voice, was my interpretation of success, of being able to finally buy something brand new, to finally,
Yeah.
hold on to a dream that I can now accomplish something in this world. And yes, I'm shaking because that's the way I felt then.
Yeah.
And then, being able to just catapult from there. So being able to see things in the moment and making sure, yeah, it hurt. It was right to my soul hurt,
Yeah.
like a stab. However, not allowing that to alter my dream, my trajectory, my path.
Yeah. The most valuable lessons we ever learn are the most painful ones.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
was a painful lesson that you learned from someone who, at that moment, you no longer felt safe with anymore.
yeah,
And
yeah,
for
yeah,
a girl, any age, feeling safe is utmost importance. uh,
yeah,
and especially with masculine, right? With a man, and when we don't feel that anymore, like you said, takes a while to heal that,
yes.
and for some, it might never heal.
Yes. And I want to bring up several, well, a certain amount of people don't understand that safety and feeling safe is not always a physical thing, as I
Oh
just
yeah.
shared with but I have multiple clients come to me and saying, "What do you mean? I feel safe in my family. I'm not going to get hurt." And they didn't
Yeah.
understand about being able to communicate and share things and then feeling like you're being attacked or
Yes.
letting others down by certain things. And I didn't quite understand that my success was really bothering other people
And that's what it
because I
was.
really
Yeah.
that's what it was.
It was
Is that
insecurity. How dare you surpass me,
yeah, that's right. That's
right?
right.
Even though they
Yeah.
want their family members to succeed and be successful,
Yeah.
but not while they're alive.
Yeah.
Not while they're there
Yeah.
to witness their own failure in comparison.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
failure is what you make of it in your mind. It's a state of, it's your attitude. It's the way that you see and perceive things. Because
That's
if you see
right.
it as a failure, then that means you've failed. But if
And yeah,
otherwise,
but
if you keep
instead of
going, you'll get there.
right, but instead he could have saw my success as his success in catapulting me.
Exactly.
My dad wasn't around, so it was his masculine energy that helped me see that I could do things that I
Yeah.
never thought I could before. And instead, he only saw that object as his failure.
Yeah. And hurt people. So he was
Yeah,
hurting in that moment and lashed
yeah,
out and
yeah,
probably said things he regretted saying.
yeah,
But
yeah,
once you say something, you can't unsay it. Once you hear it, you can't unhear it.
yeah,
Once you
yeah,
see it, you can't
yeah.
unsee it. That's it. And it
That's
becomes
yeah.
your trauma that you carry.
That's right. And so you'll hear me if you've ever followed me before, or even listeners, you'll hear me say, we are in this world. First off, our purpose is to expand and grow. Nothing else. Everything else
Yes.
is an option.
Yeah.
But you are also here to lift others. That jealousy and envy doesn't get you anywhere. When someone
Yeah.
else is thriving, lift them, celebrate their success. I'm so happy for you. That's so great because you're the one who's holding yourself down, not
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
You are. And so within that space, when I saw myself like, no, I had to cocoon, I had to let part of him go in order for me to continue to thrive and succeed.
Yeah. It almost sounds like we're just like because I'm at my cottage and there's so many trees around. I'm like we're like forest because trees their purpose is to focus on their own personal growth and development. They're not competing with anyone else. They're just focused on growing themselves and getting themselves to
Yeah.
that light. That's why it's at the edge of the forest, the back of the tree. It's like, guys, we're not even spending energy growing anything in the back. The sun is here. We're growing everything here. And at the same time, what I've learned through a grapevine of women that underneath every forest there is a lake, right? That there's a really big lake underneath the forest,
Hmm.
and trees they help and support each other by sharing the water of those that can bring it up, and they're shared with others because they're supporting and
Hmm.
encouraging each other to grow as well as they're focusing on their growth. And we humans are, I feel like, similar to that. And maybe that's what they say, if you feel really bad, go hug a tree, right? So we can all be like a bunch of tree huggers.
Yes, because they
Yeah.
hug you back.
Okay, so my next
Yes,
question
yes, yes.
for
I
you
love that.
is what was the biggest lie that you were living that felt normal to you until it broke you?
Well, I kind of mentioned it. It was putting so much expectation on everyone else to fulfill my happiness. You know, my
Yeah.
granddad, my dad, my partner, until I realized. And, presently, I live single with the cat. And I'm perfectly content. There's no resentment of
Yeah.
anything. There's no anger. I welcome change. I see things differently than most, and I'm constantly celebrating people. And if I don't mean it, I won't say it. And so I'm not going to say anything negative. I just won't say it if I don't mean it. And so I do mean that I love you. I love everyone because that's what real, true emotion is, love. And so I love you for who you are. I lift you. I celebrate you, even if you're just taking baby steps to accomplish. Just recently I heard, and this story is like, what? There are people out there. There's a young lady I just met. She's 19 years old
Mhm.
and living with her 16-year-old brother in this country by themselves. I went, what? What? Now, I was on my own when I was 16, but I cannot imagine to this day, like everything has changed when I was doing it. But to
Yeah.
do that, and I'm like, what? And
It's
to
easier
be able
now,
to
though.
see,
I'd say it's easier now,
mm,
perhaps with everything a lot more accessible, whereas back then you probably had to go to a payphone to call someone.
well, yeah, I didn't look at it as the items to help us succeed, but you still have to have you in order to
Oh,
succeed.
yeah.
Your thoughts, your actions, your deeds,
Yeah, your mindset.
and right. And I'm thinking, wow. And as I spoke with her, I said, you're 19 years old taking care of 16-year-old. I said, you're getting your childhood taken away from you. I know you say you're 19, however, 19 should be free to, and she's in school and working a full-time job. And I said, you're literally a single mother trying to get ahead. I said, and so, to have that placed upon you, you're getting those elements of freedom taken away from you, of
Yeah.
being able to feel less stress, but focusing on your grades when she's focusing on raising a child. And, and thinking about all these things of going, there's so much out there that we don't know. So if we live
Mhm.
in the space, there's so much out there and we don't know. It doesn't matter if we don't know it or not, but just say to yourself, everyone needs to be lifted.
Yeah.
So when I see someone, I'll be the first one. I have stopped at a red light when I see someone that needs help walking across the street. I will get out of the car at the red light and help that person walk across the street. I will get out of the car. I've done that many times. And that because I'm not going to sit and watch someone need help.
Mhm.
I'm going to be a part of that help when I know I can do it, when I know I can do it.
Mhm.
So listening to her story, just letting her share it, I'm sure was a part of helping her to get out what she was feeling, just to
Mhm.
have somebody safe to communicate with. So it's like you brought up the forest. If we weren't in the forest, we wouldn't hear the tree fall. Does that mean the tree didn't fall? Right?
Exactly.
Right. So just because you don't hear it or know it doesn't mean something isn't happening. And so when we're lifting people, celebrating people, what can I do? Being more engaged in your surroundings, meaning more present in what people are saying, how they're acting. Is there anything you need? You want to talk? Can I hold your hand?
Mhm.
And those kind of things to help anyone and everyone get through those moments. Then I wish I would have had someone that I
Mhm.
could talk to, but it wasn't safe. It wasn't safe for me to talk about what was outside of the four walls of my partner and I. And then I held that story for a long time, a long, long time. But no one really knew what I was suffering with on the inside. And yes, and it was a form of me suffering, but
Yes.
I was creating my own suffering. And I want people to know that if you're in a relationship or in a situation at work, you're creating it because you're staying or you're allowing it or you're not saying anything of fear of. And I'm going to leave that as a dot, 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 because there could be multiple things that you're afraid of. But for me, it was confrontation in that relationship with my partner, which turned into almost taking my life.
Yeah.
So that's where people can become so paralyzed by a limiting belief from their childhood that can turn something into not supporting your surroundings, but you want to blame everyone else, or that you want to blame your experiences of what you're seeing with your eyes, when in fact it's your unknown or your fears of the unknown, dot, 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 of being able to say, I'm stepping through it. Wake up every day and say, I'm getting through this. Wake up every day and say, today is another great adventure. Even if it's not a fun, great day, but you lived it, you breathed it, you're here, you've gotten through something, it's
Mhm.
catapulting you to the next great adventure, to where you feel the happiness and the joy. And you're going to have more of those when you're saying that every day is a great adventure.
Yeah. And every day is meant to be a great adventure because we're designed to live, thrive, explore. We're designed to be adventurers, but we're programmed for failure. We're
Mm-hmm.
programmed for fear. And the programming is what we received the moment we were conceived. Everything that we're being exposed to while we were in our mother's womb and everything after when we came out, that's the programming that is running the show. It's the autopilot that everybody refers to. But we're designed for success. We're designed for to thrive and explore and really live this adventurous life. There's so much to see in this world and experience, but so many people are stuck in their own minds and in their own bodies for being scared of something
Mm-hmm.
that probably doesn't exist because
Yeah.
80% of the things that we worry about, 80% of those things never ever come true. And then the other 20% that do, they always come true in the best way possible and always the best result that comes out of it. So what are we really scared of in the end? And just
Yeah.
it's really just a
Yeah.
program that just be scared and be worried and be triggered over a family member that's finally successful and is so proud and showing you a car that she actually unconsciously hid from you, because the reason why you park your
Mhm.
car where you parked is because a part of you wanted to hide it and maybe have it as a surprise, right? And then
Yes, that's what I wanted to do. Yep.
to get that, oh my God, how dare you do that? Who do you think
Yeah.
you are?
Who do you
You're
think
not
you are?
above me. Why are you getting this for
Yeah.
yourself and not for me? Kind of response. Like, it
Yeah.
hurts and it takes a moment to heal that. And so another questions I like to ask is in the concept around where we all get to a point where we've had enough, that enough is enough moment where you finally go and you do something about it, right? So for you, what was your enough is enough moment where you knew you either had to change or you would stay stuck?
Well, it was the end of that relationship
Hmm.
where, okay, so there was I love it. So I told you about buying the BMW at 24, and then I ended up, moving through cars. And then at the time I had a RAV4 and I was in the relationship with my partner again at the end. And he purchased a car without having a conversation. Now you're partners, so have a conversation. If you're interested in buying a car, just let me know. And at the time I was working for this company, they told me to go look for a new car that I could drive for work. And so I was saying, okay, I got to go to the dealership. You want to go with me? I have to look at certain cars. And he said, yes. And he says, I'm going to go off and look. And he ended up looking at some sports cars. And I'm like, why are you looking at a sports car? We have two little kids. Oh, I'm just looking. And then within a week, he brought it home, didn't talk to me, didn't let me know. And I looked at him and I'm like, where are you going to put the kids in that? Oh, don't you worry. So I didn't talk to him for 2 months, 2 months, because I'm like, is this real? Is this really how this works?
No.
So I thought about this long and hard, and it was at the very end. And I said to myself, you know what? He can do what he wants to do. It's time for me to do what I want to do. So I traded my RAV4 in for, and I went back to BMW and I got a convertible again because I remembered how I felt when I bought that
Mhm.
car. I felt powerful. I felt successful. And that car gave me a form of success that I could overcome a big obstacle. So I bought it, didn't tell him, and I brought it home and it was parked in the parking lot or in the driveway. And he came home and he goes, whose car is that? And I said, oh my God, don't you love it? I remember saying that. And he goes, what? Oh, he was so angry. He said, that's your car? I said, yes. Don't you love it? I said, oh my God, I feel so empowered. And I said, and it'll fit the children and you too.
In the trunk.
Ex- Exactly. And he says, if you don't take it back, we're over.
Wow.
I said, well, then I guess we're
Simple.
over. Then I guess we're over. So I remember saying that and looking at him, and he was shocked that I said that
Yeah.
because when I had to go back to the dealership for something, and I told the sales guy what had happened, he goes, Terrie, you're still I don't want to cause problems. You can take it back. And I said, word for word, I said, this car is my voice. And I said, I'm not giving up my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so powerful for me, and I stuck with
Yeah.
that. And that was the very end. So um there were certain things as I had that spiritual epiphany, and then all these pieces of my puzzle were coming together. And to get that car and to use it as my voice, because
Mm-hmm.
again, I was still in the sense of the fear of confrontation, right? And so I used an object to avoid the confrontation, and I allowed the car to be the confrontation.
Speak for you.
That's right. And that's what catapulted me. And so my friends listening, it doesn't necessarily have to be coming directly out of your mouth. It can be something that you can anchor into, that can help catapult you or put you on that conveyor belt to get through something, and that you can utilize some form of object so that you can turn your weakness into strength. And that was very, very powerful. Even talking about it, I'm like, whoa, wow, I did that. I did
Yeah.
do that. And remembering the lines, the exact thing that he said and what I said. I clearly I said, then we're over. And I
Yeah.
stood my ground because I thought about what he did and how he was trying his best to control everything, including what I was trying to anchor into for happiness, because I wasn't getting
Mhm.
it from him, but I didn't want the relationship to end. So he said it and I ran with it.
You
That was
agreed
it.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it something that
I
he
had
said
to.
often? Like threatening with ending, that's it, it's
No,
over?
nope. That was the first time.
Yeah. That's the first
That
time
was
he said
it.
that?
But because I knew that was the first time he said that, yes,
Hmm.
then it's over. And I said, okay, then it's over. I
Wow.
accept it. Yep.
That's where it's like the ultimatum.
Yeah. But controlling, you know, I didn't control, I mean, I didn't talk to him for 2 months because I was more angry with him not sharing what he wanted. He had lied about, oh, I'm just looking. And he had lied and not
Yeah.
shared that with me. That I'm like, oh, I can play this game too. And I can really do, and I let him keep it. We moved on. I started communicating with it. A few other little things happened during then, but it was a very funny situation. But I said, okay, we'll deal with this and it'll be
Mhm.
okay. But
Yeah.
then he threw that, then we're over. And I said, oh, in my head, how interesting that you can do it and I can't, you know?
Double standards. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it was just all unfolding in front of me. And
Yeah.
God told me that love will come, but the love had to be me. And with each
That's it is.
one of the
Yeah.
pieces of the puzzle had to show me that I had to love myself more and stop relinquishing it to someone else who will never satisfy that void.
Yeah.
I had to satisfy it.
Yeah. And the feeling of love is not outside of our body. It's inside of our body. So it would make sense for us to find it within.
That's
And
right.
once we really truly love ourselves, when then we start to understand what love actually is and what it isn't.
That's right.
So on your journey, what would you say, like, what did you lose on your journey that you did not expect to grieve?
Oh, that I didn't expect to grieve. Mm, that's no one has ever asked me that. Ever.
I know this is the
Ever.
question that gets quite a few guest
Oh,
speakers to like pause and think.
oh. Uh, this is an interesting, I just heard in my head, I'm magical.
Mhm.
I was grieving the lifestyle that I was hoping I would get. And the lifestyle wasn't luxury because we were middle class. but it was the white picket fence, the cat, because we weren't dog people, the cat, the partner holding my hand, wanting to take me out to dinner, proud of being with me. You know, I was grieving. I'm not going to use fantasy because that's not it wasn't a fantasy. It's something that we women truly, would love to have, or at least most of us. Some others can see their life wanting to be slightly different, but I really, didn't really have it with seeing my mom and dad that way. But I could see my schoolmates having it that way and my neighbors having it that way. And I'm like, well, if they can have it that way, I can have it that way. And so when I met him, I thought, oh, wow, and we moved into a relationship and I'm like, okay, now I'm finally going to get that way. So I feel now that you're having me sit and think about it, which is amazing. Thank you very much. I'm really going to meditate on that one. But it was not having the lifestyle that I so wanted and desired with all of my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry, my throat is like tickling
interesting.
me, and I'm like, when your throat is healing when it's sore. So it's
Yeah,
tickling me
yeah,
on one
yeah.
side. That's why my voice is like in and out now. Um,
Okay.
no, honestly, it's we often think about the things that we lose, that we do grieve, but we don't pause to think about the things that we lost, that we didn't really grieve yet, which we
Yeah.
means we recognize that there's more, more to grieve. Like right now, I'm grieving the sound of my voice because this doesn't sound like my voice.
It's perfect.
Um, but when we begin to recognize a little bit more and more of the things that we have lost, we also recognize that perhaps they're not actually even lost sometimes because they're
Right.
always there with us. We're all a bunch of kids who have so many toys around us, and we forget that we have this toy, and we only remember that we have this toy when somebody else comes and touches it, and now all of a sudden, like, oh, I want that. That's mine. It's my favorite toy. So,
Yes.
um, thank you for sharing that with me, with all of us,
Yes.
and being genuine in the pause and like the thinking of, oh, that's, let me think about that response for a second, because if we are not asked these weird questions once in a while,
Yeah.
right, how else are we gonna get to discover a part of ourselves that we might be hiding from ourselves sometimes?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I went through after leaving him. And it was tough. I went through quite a few years of, during, in the middle and after of what I felt was loss
Mm.
and then reclaiming me because I was with him for so long, wanting something for so long,
Yeah.
and then feeling disappointment for so long that I felt that everything was a big disappointment, but never getting so low again like I did on that bathroom floor because I felt like I'm now reclaiming through the unknown, but what does this look like? And then still carrying on a job and then going through custody and all of those things that were tough. But I'm like, oh, this is it. I've had worse things happen. So we'll just fight the fight. And and some people will, because it was brutal, will hang on to all of that. But he was a person that was hurt, that was trying everything to hurt me through the children.
Yeah.
And when I look back at it, there were so many lessons for me to learn, so many things that I wish I would have done differently or glad I did what I did. But within that, there are no mistakes. I had to just learn through everything. I learned a lot, that's for sure. But there's no regrets. There's no regrets on the length of time I stayed with him, on the love that I gave him. It was pure. It was everything that made me feel good. No regrets. Zero.
Good. And that's the best way to live life is to work through it all. So there's no more regrets. None of us will not
Yeah.
live with regrets. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those that are struggling through relationships or career or whatever, that you're getting through it every day. Just breathe through it. Don't anchor into, I can't, this is not working, la la la, because I was, and I go la 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 because it's like I had to get the noise out of my head and go la 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 like a kid
Yeah.
with
Not
the
listening
hands
to
over the
you.
ears. I had to do that too. And knowing that things are better on the other side, getting through it, because it's not going to be forever.
Yeah.
And knowing that you thrive on the other side. You thrive. You reclaim you, no matter what it is, but you can anchor into being a victim and you can spiral out. Which path do you want to take? The victim or the thriving, right? So you
Good.
choose. And I clearly chose to catapult to bigger, better, bolder, and I welcome change. Sometimes I'll get a little emotional and hang on and go, why? Because you're not going to get an answer from why. So I'm like, okay, reel that in, what, where, how, who, and then say, okay, whatever is in this, I'm not seeing right now, but I know that I can get through it and take action on things because intuitively I'm living. That's right. We all live intuitively. We just
Yeah.
discount it. And then just say, okay, I'm making this decision. Okay, this is what happened. This is great. But don't make decisions for other people. Make them for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't expect other people to change for you to make life easier for you. You change for you in the way that you want to change for you. That's it. And if the other
Right.
people don't like it, there's 8 billion more.
That's right.
All
That's
right.
right. That's right. 8 billion.
So what does getting your shit together actually look like for you now in real life?
Mm. Well, I have a thriving practice as an energy healer. I I lift people constantly.
Mm,
I do not feel like I was saying no regrets. I so when I hear people say I'm not perfect, I say yes, you are. You're perfect right here, right now.
mhm,
So in this space, I'm perfect right here, right now, right? And I welcome to receive all great adventures, all abundance, all happiness, all fun. But I wake up every day and say, today is another great adventure. I say it so much that everyone that comes across me, my kids, they hear it, I say it, and they even start saying it. So I'll hear their friends and family saying, today's a great adventure. Yes, it is.
should be your middle
And
name.
that's right.
Get it
That's right.
tattooed.
That's right. That's right. And and knowing that I see positive, even though I may experience something that doesn't feel so positive, I know
Mhm.
there's something in it. There's something in it. I may not just see it right now. So when you see positive, you throw positive, you meaning speaking it and lifting and loving and sharing and saying that today is another great adventure, then you become the magnet for that.
Yeah.
And so I feel support everywhere around me. I know that source God energy has got my back. Sometimes I don't see it right away. And I
Yeah.
repeated that because I want people to really hear that. But knowing that that's just the moment that you're in now, work, move through it, swim through it, however you get through it. And then you're like, okay, but reflect back on it. So I'm fully grateful for the question that you asked me because I didn't think of that myself and no one's ever asked me. But to asked me that here and now, wow, what an amazing experience to be able to think about that and then to understand why I was grieving so much. Because in those moments, all I thought about was the loss of him, of the
Yeah.
unknowns, of the fight with the kids, of the extra money, and all the things that come with when you leave a partner and you're splitting things. But to reflect back at this moment, I'm like, oh wow, that was, yeah. Now I understand why my soul felt cracked, because that was something that I truly thought that if I ever got, because I never really had, that that would be my ultimate success. So
Yeah.
I was mourning a form of success as well, right?
Hmm.
And that question, wow, that was, I'll never forget that. Thank you so much for that. I'll
Oh,
never
of
forget
course.
that. There's certain things I just don't forget, and that is like, wow, it's powerful.
Mhm.
So hoping that everyone listening now understands that somebody can ask you a simple question and really allowing yourself to go deep into the answer to that and facing it. Some may not even have faced it. You know, truth, I am the truth seeker for my clients. So why wouldn't I
Yeah.
share the truth within myself?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that's how we, by healing ourselves, we're helping others heal as well. We're showing them not only what's possible, but how to do it. And
Yes.
the simplest of questions are the ones that are the most profound questions. And then you were also saying how if you ask the why, you're not going to get the answer. And it's often because it's too simple of a question, because it's not even a full question. Because usually what follows is why not? When we say why, when we ask
Mm-hmm.
why me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why not? Or who
Mm-hmm.
would you recommend? And us good girls would be like, I don't want to recommend no one. I'll carry it myself. Um, so for
So
the
why
way,
is also like an opinion. So why is also like an opinion. So if I were to ask you,
Mhm.
why are the trees so close to the house? Or I don't, I'm just throwing this
Yeah,
out there. And you're going to give me your ideas of other trees and the weather and the sun and all of that. And and then somebody else could give me something else.
yeah,
So that's why you cannot ask why, because you're going to hear all these different answers.
yeah.
So when you say how, where, what, then you get that specific answer. And that's how you get them directly from source God energy, is that, you're wanting clarity. And then within the how, where, what, you're going to get your answers.
Hmm. Ask a better question, you'll get a better answer.
There you go.
Yeah, there's even a few movies I watched where it would be like a hologram. The one that comes to mind is I, Robot with Will Smith,
Oh,
where
yeah.
right you've seen that one. If somebody who's watching, listen to this, you haven't seen, recommend go watch it. It's a great one to watch. And so when he was a hologram and Will Smith, whatever his name was in the movie, he would ask a question, and then the hologram would tell him, ask a better question. Well,
Mm,
that's the wrong
hmm.
question to ask. And the universe, I feel like it works in a similar way when you're asking questions, but if you're asking the same question over and over
Yeah.
again, because for me it was why me? And I was always getting, why not? Why not you? Who else would it be, right? Because my
Yes,
responses
why
are
not?
kind of like silly responses in the ways like you ask a stupid question, you get a stupid answer. And then when my
Uh-huh.
kids ask me stupid questions, I'll give them a stupid answer as well on purpose to like teach them ask better questions. So we ask better questions. Even if it's the same line of questions, but it just
Mm,
goes deeper and deeper and deeper, where we get to understand a different level of ourselves that we are perhaps ready to heal now.
hmm.
Otherwise, we wouldn't uncover it.
Yeah.
And similarly, if something is available in front of us now and we don't feel ready, well, it wouldn't be available if we weren't ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's now available, that means you're ready. Now,
Yes.
for the women, for that one woman listening right now who is stuck in the dreaming, the overthinking, the overanalyzing, the doubting, the shrinking phase, what would you say to her that might finally get her to move that perhaps she's not ready to hear just yet, but needs to hear it?
hmm So two things come to mind. A person, no matter what you say, has to make the decision within themselves to step
Hmm.
forward. So
Yeah.
I could say so many things that, will go right to the core, but then they're going to say, but what if? And so
Yes.
I do, yeah, and I do have clients that, are in the between, the relationship or the marriage. And well, what if, what if he changes? And, I read the stories that, he was horrible to them for 10 years and he finally turned around and now he's the perfect mate. And so they hang on to those stories and they hang on to hope, like I did. I hung on to hope for 14 years. And what I have learned through my spiritual journey is you've got to get out of your head. Boom, number one, you've got to get out of your head. Meditation really works. I hear so many people saying it doesn't work for me. It works for everybody.
Yeah.
You have to be dedicated to yourself, commit to yourself, choose you first. Because do you know that if nothing changes, that's still a choice?
Yes, it is.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Choosing to stay the same.
So, so choose yourself
Yeah.
and make baby steps happen. Make a choice to even baby steps. I say, look, even if you're taking baby steps, you're moving forward, meaning thinking about it, writing it down, talking to your friends. Now you're putting it out there,
Yeah.
and then start like, okay, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z if it's leaving the relationship or changing jobs, right? Changing your whole career, right? But clearing your mind, because those stories in your head will
Mm.
keep you. But what if, what if, what if, why, what if?
Yeah.
And you're not getting answers. It keeps you on the hamster wheel from hell.
Yes. It's a
It
loop.
really does. Yes. So to clear your mind, get out of your head, live in your body and your heart. Because once I got out of my head at the end of that relationship, thinking, oh, but we're close. Oh, but he'll 14 years later, I would have still, well, I was still saying, but what if? What if today he changes? What if today he tells me he loves me more than what if he can't live without me? And I kept saying that kept me there
Yeah.
14 years. I should have been gone after two, but I was doing that. And I have clients that come to me in the same, same situation, 3 years in, 5 years in. And I'm like, do you want 14, 20, 25? Because you're
Yeah.
on the same path I was on. Get
Yeah.
out of your head. What do you want? What do you want?
Hmm.
Right? And then start taking action because everyone wants you to be happy, my friends. Because when we were children, our parents would say, oh, baby, don't cry. Just be happy. I love you. It's all right. Don't cry. Please. I love you. And they want you to be happy.
Hmm.
So instead, you're trying your best to make everyone else happy when you're not. And it doesn't work that
Yeah.
way.
Most people don't even know what it would take for them to be happy. They think they do, but they actually don't, because if they did, they would be doing it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, the fear of the unknown, you know, uh, go within some, I've had clients, I don't know what I want to do in a career. And then I have them reflect back.
Mm.
This is a really good process. If you want to change your careers or you're in retirement or just retired or getting ready to, don't know what you want to do. I tell people, what what were kids around you in high school and middle school, when you're in school? What were the kids around you acting like toward you? So were you the one that all the girls came to you for you to talk them off the ledge? Were you the one who just simply held the door open for people? Were you the one? So when you start asking, was I the one? Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I could do that. I had a client who full-blown retirement, was taking a course on starting a business, but didn't know what she wanted to start. So I did the same process with her. And she started saying, wow, all that I could ever think about when I was in school, entire school, was everyone came to me and told me all their secrets. Everyone came to me and asked me, what should I do? I said,
Mm.
well, then why aren't you a coach?
Yeah.
Why aren't you helping people?
Or a
She goes, I
counselor.
don't know
Yeah.
where, her answer, I don't know where to start. I said, you started
Yeah.
25, 30 years ago. I said, there's no difference of what you were doing then of what you can do now. You're already doing it. Duh, right? Ding,
Yeah.
ding, ding.
Yeah.
It's like the light went off. She's like, I can't believe it. And then I started intuitively seeing a business. I said, this is what you can do. This is what I suggest. This is how you can do this. And I started like speaking so quick. Do this, 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 this. And that's how you get started. And she
Mm.
goes, what? And so she started doing it.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't recreating the wheel. It was what she thought, oh, I'm leaving a government job and now I don't know what I'm doing over here. Do what you've been doing naturally for the last 30, 40, 50 years of your life.
Yeah. Now just ask people to pay you for it. That's it. The
That's
only difference.
right.
And that's the hardest part, actually. Asking people to pay you for things that you're naturally gifted at,
Yeah.
especially for good girls.
Yeah. So there are so many things in everybody that if you think back about, especially your childhood, because after college, excuse me, after school, because after college or whatever, if you went to just a, general school, then you'll see what was happening around you and how you were gifting the world,
Yeah.
you. Because then after college or after school, then all these other things were put upon you, and you're forced to decide, in college what you want to do for a living, and you're totally ignoring everything that you were doing that was so natural to you.
Yeah.
And so take that and run with it. Go back and look at what was so easy for you and what you still may be doing and not realizing that you can turn that into a career.
Exactly. And that's the best way to turn or to find a career for any one of us. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
my last question for you is, what part of yourself are you finally allowing to exist without trying to fix, hide, or prove it to anyone anymore?
That well, number one, I am who I am,
Mm,
and I'm going to speak like I speak with you as a client, as a friend, as a partner. I have, there's no compartmentalizing me,
yeah.
and I will communicate clearly with even when it feels uncomfortable. And I learned a lot of that too. That yeah,
Mhm.
it's like hard to be able to say, yeah, that really bothered me, and what you're doing is kind of contradicting what you said that I, heard you 3 months ago. So what's going on?
Mhm.
And many people, many in your work environment, in your home environment, won't share, won't ask that question. You may have, I got a flash. So you may have shared with someone that, oh, we could possibly do, and I'm just going to go dot, 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 so you all can fill in the blank. And then it just never comes to fruition because one may be waiting for the other to follow up with it.
Mhm.
And then nobody is, and then it just sort of disappears. And then feelings get hurt. Why didn't you say anything? The other one's like, I thought you would say something. Communicate, share it, say
Yeah.
it. There's no release the fear of retaliation, release the fear of not wanting to hear it. Wouldn't you rather, this is a good question, wouldn't you rather know you're getting terminated from a job or downsized before it happens?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather know that? Wouldn't you rather know that your relationship isn't as rock solid as you want it to be and talking about it than waiting for it to be said that it's over? So
Mm.
being able to communicate it all out, and I clearly have learned that, talk about everything no matter what,
Yeah.
even if they don't want to hear it. And I've taught, I had a relationship a year ago, and it was during the beginning, during the interview process, it was said one thing. And then 2 months down the road, it was something else. And I said, let's sit down at the dining room table. Let's chat. Oh, okay. What do you want to talk about? I said, I want to talk about what your actions are that are much different than what you told me. And I said, and I'm really struggling with it. And so I'm not saying you to stop, but I'm struggling with it because I shared with you that I would be struggling if I saw something like that or if I'm experiencing that. And now I'm telling you, like I told you in the interview process, that I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
And it broke up the relationship. But you know what? I was choosing not to accept the unacceptable behavior
Yeah.
because that was my boundary. I shared that at the beginning and I said it would bother me. And
Yeah.
by me not saying, now I'm 2 months in and now love is involved and my heartstrings
Yeah.
are being pulled, but that doesn't make the difference. And many of us would not say anything because, oh, I love this person.
Oh, I don't want to hurt this
No,
person. I want to make them feel bad. Yeah,
right, but you're feeling bad, but you're
exactly.
saying you didn't like it and didn't want it, and now you're seeing it 2 months later. So I said it and it ended the relationship. Bye. Because then you weren't being truthful to me at the very beginning.
Yeah. And what
Yep.
else was he not being truthful about in the beginning?
Bingo.
Right? If it's how
Bingo.
you, I like this quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you start hiding or lying about one thing, what else could it be that you could be hiding and lying about and not
Yes.
being open and honest about? It's
Yes.
rarely just that one time, one incident,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
So do not allow your boundaries to become fluid. Once they become fluid, they're like, oh, she let me do that. Now they're saying that, oh, it's okay. And then it
Yeah.
happens again and it happens again. And then you're angry. And now you're 2 years into the relationship and you're angry. And I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And you're 3 years into it now. You're even more angry and you're still there.
Yeah, and they're not
So
even aware
once
of the
your
problem
boundaries,
sometimes, right? And that's why we
yes,
have to speak up and say it and remind them that they're not aware of. We are not all aware of our behavior and how we carry ourselves and how we present ourselves 100% of the time. We are not
that's right.
aware of everybody else's triggers and their stories that they're carrying. And it would be unfair for everybody else to expect me to become a different person for everyone, to cater to everyone. I lived that way for a long time. And
Yeah.
this is what I refer to as going through depression is deep. I refer to it as deep rest when I'm deeply
Yeah.
resting, when I'm depressed. Is
Yeah.
because the body and the mind and the soul can no longer play this game of charades, can no longer pretend to
Yeah.
be everyone for everyone, because the one has lost the identity by trying to be everyone to everyone and catering to
Yeah.
everyone. And that's why, and that's how we lose ourselves on this journey, because we're not being ourselves. We're not being our true authentic self. We're catering to everyone.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to any
Yeah.
catering business, they have their own menu and they're not going to change that menu. Meanwhile,
Exactly.
we change our menu all the time for
Exactly.
everyone.
Exactly. I love the way you said that.
Right?
Exactly.
It becomes, this is where the kitchen is not going to run smoothly at all because if it's new things all the time, you
Yeah.
gotta constantly adjust and realign. It's like if a river goes down the same path all the time, you know what to expect. But if it changes paths all the time, you never know when it's gonna come and get your house down
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
living in
Yeah.
that mountain and that hill. So
Yeah.
we're figuring things out as we go through life, no matter how little or how big we are. We're all children of this universe, of this planet that don't know shit. We like to think that we know everything, but we don't. And at the same time, we wouldn't want to know everything because it'd be boring when we know
Yeah.
everything. The fun is in not knowing and not having all the answers to all the problems. Clearly, we
Yeah.
have them, but not as clearly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I just want to say thank you so much, Terry, for sharing your journey
Mm,
so openly today with me, with all of us. Everybody, please go give her some love. Check her out. There's going to be all the links that she shared with me. I put them down below and on the podcast, around the podcast, and connect with her and go from there. And if this episode hit home, please share it with a woman who
mm,
needs to
yes.
hear it, but might not be ready to hear it just yet. And show us some love and subscribe to this podcast so you never actually miss a new episode. And because it's not just this episode, just the series that I have, I am uploading my card readings on this channel as well. And if you enjoy the being part of the live process and you want to be part of the live recording of the podcast, then come and join us on Thursdays at 11:45 a.m. Eastern Time on my personal Facebook page, where these episodes go live first and then they get uploaded as they are because there's nothing to hide in them. And until next time, keep showing up, keep becoming. You are not behind. You are not too old. You are not too young. You are not too late. You did not miss the train. You are right on time and you're exactly where you are meant to be. And it's up to you to finally decide and take action on the things that you are avoiding. Because everything that you want is on the other side of the things that you avoid doing. And the sooner that we all realize it and start taking action, the easier it'll become. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you all next time. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye.
Okay, so that's all for now.